Today we have been joined by my tortie Sophia, although she keeps trying to eat things, so we'll see how long that lasts. Now I will acknowledge that fitting is difficult. I also think the concept of fit has almost two separate definitions, the first far more literal and the second rather ephemeral. The first fit is literally something nearing the exact same size and shape. The proportions essentially echoed, or for our purposes in this series, a second skin, a sloper, a copy of you but in fabric form. That sort of fit. But then there is the esoteric fit. The fit that is maybe slouchy, but in the best kind of way possible. The fit that skims over parts of the body by design. The fit that is exaggerated. Does all fashion fit? Should it? This is where fit begins to take on another meaning entirely. So which do we focus on? Both. I agree it is important to achieve a close and accurate fit with your initial sloper patterns, your blocks. I almost think no matter your end desires that creating a second skin first is the best plan of attack, because we can always add ease on, but deciding where it starts is far less flexible. Still, achieving an exacting fit is difficult, if not near on impossible, so more on that later. Why am I telling you to make block patterns if fitting one is so very tough? Because fitting any pattern is tough and is sort of the prerequisite for any sewing project ever. Even when using commercial patterns, having to fit a mock-up first is part of the process. It's just what is expected. And thus I repeat my essential thesis once more. Why go through that arduous fitting process for every project ever when you only really need to do it just once? Why make a few mock-ups for every new design when you could just make all of them now and get that unfun fitting part over with once and for all? Learning how to fit different styles to your own unique body shape when the pattern already looks like this is difficult. Learning to create different styles from the same starting fit instead is fun. Determining to push on through the difficulty of fitting the block patterns really just boils down to one question. Would you rather spend more time in the future fitting or designing? Because if you get all the fit done up front, only one thing is left. Of course, at the start, you will still have plenty to learn about design and your preferences, but during that process, wouldn't you rather have a wearable mock-up that just needs a design tweak rather than 3 unusable disasters just trying to get the darn thing to fit? I know my answer. We fit the blocks to the body first. Think of the first fit as a replication. Then we add on the desired ease. Or you can, if you are sure you want those same standard points of ease every time. The sloper plus ease becomes your starting block standard. If, like me, you simply want to be a bit snatched, you use the first exacting fit as your starting point instead. This first type of fit can be correct or incorrect. The second type of fit is entirely subjective. So it is lucky then that the internet is here to help. I bet there are 6 folks sitting on Reddit right now this very second ready to help give you personalized suggestions. There are blogs, books, videos, and Facebook groups. Google thy symptoms and test out the internet's many remedies. I have linked my favorite resources below for some good starting points for fixing the fit of the bodice and sleeve blocks. Again, I have always found skirts far easier, but that is my bias, and the same sort of assistance is available for all portions of the foundation pattern here on the World Wide Web. Unfortunately, I cannot be everyone's fit partner, mostly because I'm not exactly qualified and also because Oliver doesn't like to share. And thus I acknowledge that these last few steps have been the hardest. But once you claw out of the chaos that is fitting a block pattern, you will have set yourself entirely free. Then there is the second kind of fit, the sort of woo-woo kind. What is the correct fit? Only the one you want. Is that insufficient? My own blocks haven't fit 100% perfect for years, and I've still been having fun. Also, the moment you manage to finally perfect that exacting fit will be the moment that you change. You can keep fitting forever, but some extra ease, some slight drag lines are simply going to persist because, again, you are a person, not a dress form, and you want to move your arms or sit down or go get gelato. Also, results can still vary even within the same pattern because every fabric is different, but that's a whole other can of worms. I just added a back shoulder dart back onto my blocks after a decade, and the fit of my garments has vastly improved. Am I going to throw away all the clothes I made before this discovery? Hell no. At some point, good enough is going to have to be good enough. This is not a perfection project. We're too close, literally, to humanity for perfection. Perfect one day may be haphazard the next due to hormones, the weather, what have you. Please don't make this any harder on yourself than you have to. Your wardrobe will not be graded and there is no rubric. Like so much in life, your relationship with your block patterns is going to require compromise. Maybe you've got the arm size extra special smooth, but you can no longer raise your arms above the level of your waist. Guess that means you're going to have to decide what is more important to you. I'm putting my money on moving, but only time will tell. Also, if you get close, say 80% of the way there, then you're already going to be making things that fit you 80% better than what can be found off the rack. Why make clothes? Part of the reason I started making my own clothing is because it can be hard to find wovens in the wild. We live in an age of stretch, knits, spandex, athleisure, t-shirts and jersey, cable knit sweaters. All of these have different fit considerations than woven clothing, because they can conform to the body exactly moment to moment, even as the body moves and shifts. But they also do not have to. The more formal daywear, prescriptive and gendered as it usually was and can remain, was not meant for tennis or yoga or spontaneous dance fervor. Active wear exists for being active. The rest is for doing less. So we can't have the same expectations of a woven day dress that we would for a knit or for a t-shirt and leggings, because it is expected you are up to different activities that require different levels of ease. Some garments are made for running. Others are made for visiting a gallery of Guillermo del Toro concept art followed by drinks at the Speakeasy. Both are valid and both have their place. Still, a dress like this is harder to find. Not impossible, but not exactly easy. And when you do find it, it may be designed for a fit model with completely different proportions. That matters less in a knit, when you can turn to stretch to solve half of the discrepancies. It matters quite a lot in a woven. Personally, I wanted vintage style, but vintage clothing in my size was and remains rare, and therefore prohibitively expensive. I wanted high fashion garments, but I didn't have $700 to spend on one skirt. So 20 years ago, I learned to sew, and I have never looked back. And because the style I'm personally after, mid-20th century stuff, was made with the block pattern system, that system works perfectly for my personal practice. And because I only wear clothing with a waist seam, I don't even keep torso-length blocks in my studio. Are they a different option? Yes. Does it take a few extra steps to use a torso block for the kinds of styles I typically focus on? Also yes, but for you, maybe double-ended darts feel right. However, you can't swing a double-ended dart around the way I do, because the dart is pointing to two different high points on the body instead of just the bust. The places one can simply pivot become limited with the darts conjoined. Just one more reason you don't see me using a torso block. Similar limitations apply to curved darts. Once you curve the dart for a more exacting fit against the skin, it can no longer be moved without refitting that curve for the new portion of the torso. A standard dart leaves a little space, which makes it flexible, because it creates a cone, not a copy. A dart can fit without having to fit. And if you think double-ended darts fit you better, it is worth investigating why that is. Because you've got your reasons, and they may end up educational for other drafting concerns. But in the same way that they might work well for you, they serve virtually no purpose for me. And take princess seams. If I had $1 for every comment telling me that princess seams fit better than darts, I would have at least $4, which is simply $4 too many. Princess seams don't fit better than darts, they fit differently, and they are supposed to, or don't have to. It can depend. You may prefer one to the other, but one does not fit better or more correct than the other. A good fit is not determined by how close the clothing molds to the body's actual contours. That is fit version 1. A good fit is that which achieves the desired style. A 1960s tent dress doesn't fit, but it does fit. Fit isn't literal. It can be far more fun. Open your mind, bro. Does the proper fit mean that the garments look smooth, that they feel good? Does the right fit skim over the body, conceal it? Does it fit like that second skin, contouring exactly to the shape underneath? You can have your own definition, a preference. Just understand that like all things subjective, it is merely your opinion. And for your own personal wardrobe, that is the only opinion that counts. Something oversized can fit, something too tight can fit. Because the right fit is your desired result, not a prescribed ideal. Adding a bunch of ease and creating boxier stuff or even distorted effects, everything is still possible using closely fitted block patterns to start. You just don't see me demonstrating looser clothing because it simply ain't usually my jam. That doesn't mean it cannot be done. It just means that the closet historian isn't exactly the place to come for explorations on those particular styles. Somebody else has got that. I've got this. I will, however, be going over analyzing different designs in order to mimic them in a future video, deviating from the first fit when the second is required on a style-by-style basis, because learning to read a piece of clothing, an image, a runway photo, a costume, to pick apart how the basic patterns were manipulated to get there is an invaluable skill for the home drafter to devise. So honestly, I could do one last round of baby edits to this buddy, but really it is close enough to use. Want to see how I know? This is how close we got to the blocks I have been using for near a decade. The last issue with fit has less to do with patterns, the clothing, and far more to do with society, living in it, and following or breaking its many silly rules. Ergo, I feel I must cover my least favorite query as well. What looks good on me? and other similar questions wrongly asked. Trigger warning from now on for minor discussions of size, weight, body types, and self-esteem. If you've got a skedaddle, I will see you next lesson. I have been asked many a similar question over the years. How do I know what styles look good on me? How do I dress for my body type? How do I know what to make so that it looks flattering? What if I am plus-sized? What should I sew if the quizzes all say I'm a kibby glam autumn cucumber melon? So maybe this is because I grew up swirling around in the dying drain of women's magazines and their prescriptive rules about nearly everything, but no. Just no. Just no. This shape must wear these clothes. What not to wear says you are quite frankly hideous. Over 50? Now wear these and never this. Under 30, these dresses say wife material. Then all of the actual fashion editorials in the following pages just had identical size 0 gals. The only shape and size the culture around fashion had deemed not simply correct, but effectively essential. No matter what they had recommended for apples and pears, the actual message was clear. Only peasants had such lowly concerns anyhow, because we all knew what women were supposed to look like, and if you fell in line, you could wear whatever you wanted. Soak up all that jazz as a youngin', and you start to get a recipe for hating your body. Or at least it did for baby me, who happened to be a human instead of a mannequin. Because I wanted to work in fashion, and fashion did not actually condone the hourglass on page 38. Fashion demanded the standard they photographed on page 67. I knew nothing could, would, or even should fit me because my body was simply all wrong. Ugh. And I'm still very thankful to have crawled out of that ensuing several years-long lying mass of unhealthy nope. But I tell you this typical tidbit of my own personal relationship with the word fit, because maybe it will help you understand why now, years later, I love drafting my own patterns, which of course do not have a size. They are simply size me, and it also helps to explain why I hate these kinds of questions. I don't make what I do because it is flattering. I don't exactly know what that is supposed to mean. Does flattering mean I look desirable to men? In my case, I'm pretty gay and don't want them to so much as notice me. That is one I don't even begin to consider. Does flattering mean Vogue magazine would find me acceptable? No. Fashion still considers all plus-size bodies unfit for anything but the most token of devotions. Does flattering mean I feel comfortable? In what sense? Physically or mentally, or perhaps socially? Does flattering mean I won't receive certain comments from family, from coworkers, strangers? That maybe I will. Do I personally feel like certain things flatter my own unique little soul housing, whatever that means? Yes, sure, of course. But I also feel like other people would easily disagree with my own findings about what I think those design elements are and what they think they should be. For example, people have often told me I should wear shorter hemlines because I'm only 5'5". Except also, hilariously to me, folks online often assume I am much taller than I am, and personally I think my longer skirt lengths make my legs look longer too. I'll tell you what I think is actually flattering: wearing whatever you want, whatever you like, and not giving a damn what anyone else thinks. Confidence always wins out. So when folks ask me what to make so that their projects will come out flattering, I simply don't have an answer. I think all of those rules are stupid. Personally, I think the body types and seasons and colors are all cop-outs. I think if you feel good, if you like looking at something, if you like looking a little too masc, a little too femme, a little too matronly, a little too slutty, a little too colorful, a little too fecking whatever, then do it. Life is so perilously short and so horrifically frightening. If you like sequins at 7 a.m., dressing like a medieval knight, wearing big 1920s dresses or tiny 60s skirts or any other wrong thing, then do it. Wear it anyway. Because you are only guaranteed this one go. We simply do not have the time. It's not up to me to decide what looks best on you, nor Vogue, nor your partner, not your mother, not Tic Tac. Maybe Marie Claire says with your shape you should avoid fit and flare dresses. Maybe you should tell Marie Claire to feck off. I simply don't dress, design, or draft with these considerations in mind. I dress with far sillier concerns. Does an outfit make me feel like a spy on Coruscant? Do I feel like a replicant who dreams of electric sheep? What can I put together to feel like a lady meeting her sword master for illicit fencing lessons? What would a vampire wear to an outdoor vintage fair in this miserably humid heat? I try not to think of what Allure magazine would say I should wear, but instead of what Morticia Addams would think to throw on for a Tuesday. I think in themes designed for decoration. I know what I feel powerful in, and if any of that aligns with what I am supposed to wear, it is partially accidental, a dram subconscious, and definitely downright inconsequential. Because how powerful and in control I feel are my only parameters for clothes. I am presenting myself as the day's aesthetic, Not in any effort to be consumed, accepted, but to please my own silly self in the mirror. Dressing is entirely selfish in my world. So, no, I don't know if you should wear A-line skirts with your body shape. I think you should try on an A-line skirt and see what you think. Do this more like a course in art criticism than a social exercise. I personally like longer hemlines on my dresses because I like the proportions. It's not that I hate my knees or something. The line of the ensemble simply looks more elegant to my personal set of eyes. The better question swirling around inside all of this is, how do I know I'm going to like something before I spend a bunch of time making it? And this is where shopping misadventures come in. You need to go alone. I mean, you don't have to, but again, the inner voice is the only one worth listening to. Go try on a bunch of stuff, try on what you are supposed to wear, what you aren't allowed to, and look. Really look and decide for yourself what you like best. And that's it. That's the only fit that really matters. Some minefields are much harder to hopscotch than pattern drafting, can make even fitting seem fun by comparison. Take a deep breath. It is only fabric. You are on your own personal fit journey, and you never know when nirvana may just be one more mock-up away. Believe in your own power to persevere. Stick with it, and we'll get back to the paper next time. Thank you as always for watching today, and thank you to my patrons who make my work and all of these videos possible. You best sit here. Get over here. I know you're going to sit there, so just do it.